Hello and welcome back to the Geordie Pig Investor channel. Today we have got our monthly portfolio update video. Gonna go through our full portfolio, show you how it's looking, see how it's performed over the last month. So as we can see, at the start of October on the 1st, we had £26,200 invested in the portfolio and we had a nice return at 4.1%. Compared to now, we have got a 4.4% return and have actually made over £1,200 in unrealised gains. So it's been a nice little bit of an increase by about 0.4%, and we can see throughout the month it actually got up to nearly 7% returns halfway through the month. And unfortunately, since the new budget was announced on Wednesday in the UK, a few of the stocks actually plummeted. However, the budget itself had some really good news in it. Very happy with what's come out of that. I was expecting there to be some sort of hit for potentially ISAs or something to have potentially changed, and luckily there was no change to it. It actually states in it that ISAs, LISAs and junior ISAs are supposed to stay the same now until April 2030, which is over 5 years away. So that'd be really nice if we were able to have the next 5 years those being fixed and being able to invest that £20,000 into an ISA account per year, as that is my goal every single year, and it's what I nearly did last year and I'm hoping I'll be able to do by the end of this year. We've currently actually invested now over £11,000 into the ISA this year between this account and my other ISA account, which is in my Invest Engine portfolio. If you haven't checked that one out, I also do a series on that where I invest £100 every single month, so please go and check that out. But like I say, for today we're going to go through my Trading 212 portfolio, show you the stocks that I've been buying and selling, have a look through all of my different pies, and we will take it from there. So like I say, I'm very happy with the returns. That's not only the only returns I've got on my portfolio, because if I take you across here and show you on the history, we can see that my realised returns are at just over £200, and I've actually now received close to £500 in dividend payments. So between them, we're close to £700 now in additional funds made there, on top of the obviously unrealised returns of about 1,200. So closing in around about a £2,000 return, which is around about a 7% return, which I'm very happy with considering I've only been investing now for just over a year. And I just hope to continue on the path that I'm on, stay consistent with my investing. That's the most important part, and over the long term the markets will reward you, especially if you do your stock analysis on the stocks you're buying and the prices you're getting in at, and also stay consistent with ETF buying. Is for me, that is a no-brainer and exactly what I have been doing over the last 14-15 months now. So if I take you into my ETF pie, we can see the 4 different ETFs I have in here. We have the S&P 500, which I've now invested close to £4,000 in. We've got the FTSE Developed World, which I have over £1,000 invested in. We have JP Morgan Global opened up a new position, and this is because it is slightly more focused on dividend yield, with the yield being on the slightly higher side. If I am to show you, you can see that the yield is around about 3.44%, which is something that I am definitely more focused on, as yes, unrealised returns are also very nice to have, but I get a lot more motivation when I see the dividend payments coming in and I see my yearly dividend income growing every single week. It's a massive motivation for me and keeps me continuing to invest and stay consistent in the market. As well as that, we also have our FTSE All World. Now, as you can see, the allocation is down to 1% on this. This is because I have stopped actually investing in this and I swapped it across to the FTSE Developed World, as I just believe it has a slightly better portfolio allocation and I'd rather have my money invested here than in this one. So I'm going to continue to hold this stock though, and I have around about £3,000 worth of value in there, and I'll still be receiving my dividends every quarter from them as well. So that's my main ETFs in this little pie. And if I'm to take you out of here and go into the next pie, we can see that in the next pie we have had a nice little return of £68 today in it, but overall we are slightly in the red. And like I mentioned just earlier, this is because of the big hit that the UK market has taken, and this is my UK growth dividend stock focus pie. Now, although it shows red in the portfolio, I am actually up overall because of the amount of dividends I have actually received from this pie. So there is that to take into consideration, but a couple of the bigger positions have been really hit bad this week. One of them being Diageo, which is now down over £200, and also BP being now down £200, which I've actually been continuing to add to these positions at these prices. I just can't pass up on the price they are currently at. We also have GSK, which is now down close to 8%, and then we have also Burberry, which has actually been one of the bigger recoveries this last month, and I've been able to sell out of most of my position there, and I'm down to now only having a 1% allocation in the portfolio there. And to be honest, at this current price, I'm going to probably be more than likely sell out of that entire position by the end of next month and just take that little bit of a loss on there, and we'll move on from that. You can see across the rest of my other positions though, we do have some nice green ones. Another new position I've added is this JP Morgan Global Equity Premium Income. This is another massive dividend payer, pays around 6% every single month, and it is a monthly one, which is another reason why I quite like the look of it. Has some really good returns. It's a newer one on the market, but it is actively managed by the fund managers over at JP Morgan, and I do really like the look of it, so it's one that I have added in. We've also been adding in a lot of Legal and General this last month. We've been adding a little bit of National Grid. We've been adding a lot of Greencoat UK Wind at the current price. I really like 135 here, so it being down at 132 even better. Just consistently adding into my positions that I feel are undervalued, so that over the long term they'll hopefully turn back into the green, and I can also reap the rewards on those dividend payments. Finally, we have got my US growth dividend stock pie, and again there's another position that I have added in here which is new, and that is Nike. Now this is a position that I've just always had a little look at, and around about the $85 mark I thought was very undervalued. I never took it up at that price because I did have a few stocks in my portfolios and I didn't want to be overcrowded, but over the last month or two I have been tidying up the portfolio, and I thought at the current price now being under $80 it's just too good to pass up on, so I invested and bought a couple of shares of Nike, which hopefully will pay me well over the long term. Again, a nice dividend growth stock, really good growth over the last 5 years, being up over 10%, and also their yield now close to 1.5%, which isn't too bad, and I believe is only going to be going up and up and up. And it's just such a well-known brand that over the long term, again, very confident in this position, and it should show us some nice returns. We did sell out with the Disney stock that we had around about a 10% realized gain in that position, and I just thought the money could be used better elsewhere, and that is why I sold out of that position. My only red one in this portfolio is actually, ironically, the only non-US growth dividend stock in that pie. The reason I have it in this pie though is because it's a European stock and I do still pay tax on it, so I divide my UK growth dividend stocks as they are all tax free, and then my US growth dividend stocks are the ones I pay withholding tax on when I receive the dividends. So that's why that one is in here, and it is only slightly down. Again, I've added a lot to this over the last month or two because at these prices for Louis Vuitton it's so cheap. And then we can see the rest of the positions in this portfolio are currently in the green and performing very well. My goal over the next sort of 6 to 12 months is to make sure that every single position in my portfolio has around £1,000 invested, because if I'm not investing around that much into a position, then I will be selling out of it because it's just not worth allocation in my portfolio now. Value closing on 30,000. I don't want to be having stocks in my portfolio which are worth under 1% of the portfolio, as I just don't believe it's going to give me much value. So that is all of my current stocks. Finally, I will show you ASML, a one that I just bought in yesterday, because again, so cheap for this stock. We can see over the last week it's down 6%, over 15% down over the last month, actually 24% down over the last 3 months. It is one of the biggest stocks in the AI sector. It's going to be going nowhere, and this price is going to recover. I'm just going to see how it does over the next few months, potentially continue adding to this position if it stays at these prices, and then this might be one that I just decide to sell out of for a nice profit. Or, like I say, if they continue to increase that dividend and I'm happy to hold the stock, I may add it into the portfolio and just keep a hold of it. So we'll see how that goes over the next couple of months. But like I say, that is overall my portfolio. 4.5% return going into November. Another month which I'll hopefully be able to add a good amount of capital into my portfolio. We can see that I had £26,200 invested at the start of the month, and we ended it with 28,000, so a really nice £1,800 added to the portfolio, and that value is closing in on that 30,000 mark, which fingers crossed should hit by the end of next month. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. This is the Geordie Pig Investor, over and out.